I think there's been some effort. I think in terms of their posture on immigration, you could argue been more liberal-leaning, slight liberal-leaning.
For the FNM or the PRP?
For the Free National Movement.
Right, okay.
Although they've had their moments. The Brian McCartney period of the FNM was a very conservative period.
Why do you think we haven't seen this open government transparency? Why haven't we seen that in the Bahamas yet?
That's important. I mean, I think the issue is, let's remember that this bill was, I think it was tabled in the House under Ingram.
Yeah, a long time ago, yeah.
So again, they're really in lockstep. Neither of them really wants transparency. It's all a matter of lip service. Neither of them want to be accountable. I would predict that, and I predicted when I first saw this, that Ingram would not in fact enforce it in his time. And clearly Christie will not either.
And that's because they entered this power trip? Why do you think that is?
I think that it presents challenges to people who are governing a country to have to be transparent and accountability and be accountable. It's for the greater good, but it makes the old practices more difficult to carry.
So you're saying that we are condoning corruption?
Yes,
and secrecy?
Fact, no, listen. I'll put it to you this way: the conversation that we have about crime in the country is too simplistic and emotional. Right. It's not scientific. It's not analytical. We have to look at crime from every possible direction, and it is my opinion that corruption at the top breeds violence at the bottom.
Okay.
If you
but Doc, you just said it again, and I've always said that on this show. We've always said that crime in the Bahamas is societal, and it's based on what people think their leaders are doing.
Yes.
Right.
Yes, I think that if you are serious about stamping out crime, one of the first steps, and there are multiple steps, one of the first steps has to be regulate party politics.
Right.
Introduce to government procurement, to campaign finance. Transparency, deal with the contradictions in governance. Should your Attorney General be sitting in your cabinet? Should your Minister of National Security be representing Bain and Grantstown?
See, but we don't think this way, though.
Should you have judges that are appointed in a non-democratic or non-transparent way? These are things. Should you have members of parliament who are also criminal lawyers?
Right. Or should you put your boy on the bench? Should you be,
precisely.
These are all problematic things in our small society.
And so I would argue that in our, and we're not alone in the Caribbean in this way, but I would argue that throughout the history of Bahamian politics, there has been a complicity between the political establishment and the criminal establishment.
Wow.
If you go back to the 1967...
I'm not even going to go there.
Oh, I will go there. If you go back to the 1967 Commission of Inquiry, which helped bring the PLP into power, wasn't that about the connections between U.S. criminal elements and our own members of parliament and connection to casino gambling?
Black Sales suggested it was going back from 1715 and 1729.
Well, there you go. Go back to our history. Go back to our whole history of piracy. But to bring it more closely home, I mean, there are some who would argue that the victories of the Progressive Liberal Party would have been impossible without the financing of numbers men. They were up against a powerful merchant class. The price for opposing them was great. There were few allies to be found. Numbers men were one of those allies. Now, I would argue you never should have made it criminal in the first place for people to get
right. But that's a different conversation.
Right. That's beside the point. And so I just think if you look at, I think there's been some effort. I think